which we'll be talking about animation, how to be an animator, and we got an amazing example for this. Angry Metal Studios. Angry Metal Studios are so professional. Actually, I did enjoy the works they did for a Pokemon short movies they did on their YouTube channel, and couple animated movies there. And also, many of us would recognize the GUNSHIP video animation clip, the synthwave clip. Actually, it's so enjoyable and so lovable to many of us. So this is the reason I tried. When I found this, I tried to reach these guys. Actually, these guys is doing an amazing job. So today we are so honored and so happy to have Enol and Luis Janquera. Hello there, guys, from the Angry Metal Studios.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us to your podcast. Hope this is interesting for the people that are watching us.
Well, thanks to you for flying and giving us this amazing chance, actually.
Luis, we cannot hear you.
Well, I think, Luis, yeah, there's something with the connection. Okay, first before we head to the actual questions, which are the scripted ones, we are going to start with a couple unscripted ones. Okay. Fun ones, actually, for our audience and your fans. The first one is, what's your secret origins? Every superhero has secret origins, like Spider-Man or Captain America or Batman. So what's your secret origins?
Okay, that's a weird question. Luis, would you like to start or I start?
You can start if you want.
Okay. One secret is that we are brothers. And when we were just children, we start doing our own videos with our teddy bears. Okay, so that's the origin. When I was like 4 years old and Luis was 10 years old, that's where Angry Metal Studios started. It was not so gory as it is right now. Okay, there wasn't blood at that part of the story, but I think that's the origin of all that. This story continued with when Luis wanted to study filmmaking. It was his goal, and I wanted to study animation. In particular, I wanted to study 3D animation. Then Luis studied a degree on screenwriting, directing, and producing, but oriented to live action films. Mm-hmm. Okay, we are from Spain. There's not a big industry here about, or at least there wasn't when we were younger. Right now, I think is a bit better right now, but previously it was like nothing. Only just a pretty selected people could do films. Okay, it was like a really small cake, and it was not. It was really complex to be able to do your own films or to have any kind of budget for them. Okay, so once Luis and I did several short films. We didn't work together at that part. We have different ages. We mainly worked on live action. At the same time, at some place of this story, Luis started studying 2D animation because he decided that if he didn't get a strong budget and he needed to tell his stories, he needed a tool to be able to make, for instance, a character being in space, okay? Or making animation was a door to tell any kind of story that he could imagine, and I was doing the same on 3D.
Is
With
animation something hard on Spain? Is it rare or
it's
what's how many animation studios and this animated style animation style is located at Spain?
how many? I think we can. There is there is one 3D animation in Madrid, and maybe a few small animation studios more. There is not a big production market here in Spain. Okay, it's kind of strange, but working on animation and also in the times that we are living with internet and all that things, we are open to the whole world. In fact, a note that I want to add here is that we've never worked for Spain. Okay, we are living here, but
I see.
all our clients have been from USA, from UK, or from Croatia, including, but never from Spain. That's so it's not our market.
Your
We don't.
animation level is out of control, out of level. It's amazing and stunning actually. It's so professional and so American. If you do ask me, it's something like I would see on Cartoon Network or other American channels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
And
so
Luis did just to continue with the origins. Luis did
okay.
a short film, an animated short film, one of those that we did independently without any kind of partnership. He did a Punisher short film called "Do Not Fall in New York," and he put it in YouTube. And it was like at the same time that Adi Shankar was releasing his Dirty Laundry. Okay, it was like a coincidence that both short films were released at the same time. So they start talking about them on Twitter, and it was like and at that point with several months of difference. Okay, it's not like in the biopic movies that everything happens consequently. It needs time. This kind of partnerships need time, but in several months, Adi Shankar suggested doing with us a short film about Judge Dredd. Adi Shankar had produced the Dredd movie, the car urban movie, and he suggested doing together an animated version of Judge Dredd. And I think that's the real beginning of Angry Metal Studios.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So, since when did you start drawing?
When? uh, start drawing.
Yeah.
When I was 4 years old, I usually draw comics. So always here while Enol was talking, I was drawing something because it's just a way to understand the world. But we are. But if you want to be an animator, or any other thing, you don't have to draw in the best quality. Just if you are not good drawing, no problem. I think that people who can't draw, who doesn't do it well, usually say, "Oh, I'm not good with this," and I think that drawing is a way to understand the world, and you should do it even if you are not good doing it, because it's a way that the brain has to understand what's.
I think I agree with you. There is a saying I heard. I want you to say if it's wrong or right. Animation is the art of robbing the viewer or the watcher eye without knowing or feeling anything between the frames as the motion is going. You know how to steal his eyes. Is this true?
Luis, answer, please.
And I need a little translation. Sorry. What's Enol?
That you know, animation is the way that you steal the watcher eye. That your skill with stealing. You just said that you don't have to be a very skilled artist or skilled with anatomy. You know, you.
No. I think that, for example, if you want to make Ren and Stimpy, you don't need to have a very anatomy construction. I think that the best thing that the best skill for an animator is to have the capacity to understand the world around him and the movement of the characters and the sentimientos, the feelings of the characters.
Yeah.
Because many times when we are working on a project and suddenly the animator makes a great drawing, okay, it is anatomy perfectly, the anatomy of the character is perfect and the clothes and everything, but the character is not feeling what you want to say in the movie. So basically, the best skill for an animator is to be a good actor. For example, Enol at 4 years old was the actor of the films we did. It is a joke, yes. But if you want to make be a good animator, I think you have to stay in the role of the character, to be thinking what the character is thinking, to know what.
Yeah, I think that our Luis and I, that we are is above all storytellers. I think that's our main goal. The drawings, the animation, is just a way to express the story that we both work on it. And what Luis said, that's something that I noticed, that, for instance, well, every animation director, any director who works on animation, we have a team right now, and since when we did Judge Dredd Super Fiend, we did it just Luis and I and Laura Rabanal, who did the backgrounds. When we were only three, we understood the way, the workflow that this kind of production needed. And also, once we released it, it has some good stuff on it, some pros and cons on that animation. We can analyze it and notice what was working better and what was working worse. But from that point, at that point was when we opened our studio to continue working on other stuff, something that is not yet released, and other stuff that you may have watched, like Pokemon. And at that point, we hired people specialized on, for instance, on character anatomy. And right now we've found that the perfect animator that can do a Miyazaki's movie by himself doesn't exist, okay? It's always a team matter. I don't know if I've answered the question or not.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, first we got to the scripted questions. The first one is how to be. Well, first, what is a 2D animator? Many just listen to the word 2D animator or 2D animation. What is 2D animator?
Okay. I think a 2D animator is any artist that could make life from his drawings. Okay, it doesn't matter. There are different ways to get that. I think everybody who has watched The Lion King understands the concept. Drawing one frame after another produces the illusion of life. Okay, there's a lot of theory behind this work, and also a lot of skills to be applied, from anatomy to perspective timing and creativity also, or narrative skills also. And I think it's not a simple area, and you can get into it from different areas. If you are a good illustrator, there are a lot of great illustrators on the internet or at their own homes that know exactly how to draw a character or how to design whatever they imagine. Those people may want to understand how the animation, how the movements are applied to this. And we have never been able to supply one animator by other. That's something that it's curious that there are no animators alike. Okay, there are not. We never found the same kind of animator in two people. And most of them has their own tricks, from people who use more reference to other than just adjust their models, their designs to an animation that feels comfortable for them. But also
They don't have
yeah.
animation style, or they don't have original work, you mean?
I'm talking right now of the full concept of 2D animator. Okay, most people could make 2D animations, but the way to adapt to a workflow on a studio, if we talk on bigger projects, could be pretty different. Later we are going to talk about the workflow that we usually apply. Okay. And what I say is that we, since we started working on this, we tried to do it in several different ways, following what they do on Ghibli, on what they do on I don't know, on Disney, or what they do on DreamWorks. But finally, we noticed that being such a small studio as we are, the best way to get the results than other studios get with half the budget or with half the people working on it was to understand what we had in mind. We have, for instance, a great character design artist. We have a great animator specialized on the animatic step. And from the people that we have, from the team that we are working with, we concluded that we had to adapt our workflow to the people, and not the contrary process. We don't have we don't get the workflow that you may watch on the Mononoke print DVD. Okay, on the making of. We create our own workflow that it's also adapted to the different projects. So everybody can be an animator, but I think the best way to get into a team is to specialize in one specific area and don't try to be the best on everything.
That's so true. Is this your thought too, Lewis?
Luis, you want to add something?
Luis, is this the same way you would like to add anything to this?
Yeah, Enol has everything.
Okay.
I agree with him.
You just said every person in the studio have to be specialized in a field. So, is it important to have a team to work? Is teamwork important in animation?
Yep.
Obviously, if you want to make I'm trying to think about. There are a lot of very good animators in YouTube that they work alone. Okay, and so it is. So obviously you can do your animation alone, but you have to be patient. Paciencia.
Patient. Yeah.
You have to be very patient. And what's happened here, or for example, for us, we think that we won't be able to tell all the stories we want to tell if we doesn't have a team to work with. So even in the industry, in the real industry, if you any project you want to sell to Netflix, or you want to be on cinema, or you will always have to build a team and be able to delegate some responsibilities. So depends of the big of the amount of the project. If you just want to make there is a cartoon David, I think it's called. It's a very funny guy that makes jokes. His animations are jokes in internet, and he has a style very similar to Ren Stimpy, but he has, and I can see every month a gag of 30 seconds with this guy, and it's a great animator, and he makes his own movies, and he makes them alone, but he's doing 30 seconds per month. So obviously, if you want to, you have to have in mind your goal of what you are want to do, what you want to make. So and build a team in consequence with your objective. I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
It
So
depends of the goal.
you got a team. You got a team. As you just said, how do you lead them? How do you give every part of this team, every person of this team, his part of the job? How do you lead this to look at the end as a professional final product? Because every team, I know there is a must. Every team, there is someone that would like to say I among this team. So we all face this problem. So how do you lead a team of animators?
Okay.
Que cómo los dirigimos, ¿no?
Sí. Would you like us to answer?
You have to be a family, okay? If you have no, you need to know that everyone has the same goal, that everyone will be working even if you are not in the same room of them, and that everyone will be proud about the project, about the final result, okay? It's, for example, there are many or enemies are the animators that want to work in Disney, because we are not doing it, and we know they are not good love the project in which we were being working. They are not going to be. Many of them try to says I want to be at Disney, and I say okay, go to Disney. No, not with that. Okay, because we are making something that you will probably not be proud about. And the people I want to have in our team is people that want watch the GUNSHIP video, the GUNSHIP music video, the end of Pokemon, Judge Dredd, and says, "Oh, I'm proud of this project." But there are many people that say, "No, I don't like this, but I need the money, but I need a curriculum, I need so if we are all in the same page, and we have the people correct in the area, the animator, the background artist, and all of them are enthusiastic of this kind of animation, and they have our own references, then the group works better. And then you have to know how to delegate in all of them, because when we started 5 years ago with the company, Enol and I tried to do everything. Okay, so we were
You both, only you both.
Sorry.
Only you two.
No,
5 years ago, only you two.
We have people, we have a company, but we were trying to demonstrate that we were better of the people we were hiring. We were hiring to say, I'm the boss. I have I have to demonstrate you that I'm the best, and that's not the way. The people that you hire must be better than you, and you have to know in some areas, and you have to know how to learn to delegate on that people the job. And many times I'm doing a job that I say, okay, I'm losing my time when that people of my team could do it better. So you have to we have always in mind the best skills of the people of our team in order.
This is amazing advice you just gave out. This is amazing advice, actually. We thank you for this.
Okay.
So, we would like to know about your work process. We know some things about the work process of animations, but we would like to hear this from scratch, from nothing. Before we head to the answer, please feel free to send us your questions on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. So we can answer those questions here with Angry Metal Studios, pro artists, pro animators here, Enol and Luis. So please feel free to send us your questions, and let's head back to the question. What's your work process to do animations?
Okay. Shall I answer, Luis?
Yes, of course.
Well, we don't have a solid and immutable work process, okay? As long as every project has its own needs, and we usually say yes to every project, okay? So I think that the first step of our work progress is analyzing the project that you have to do, okay? It's a music video, a webtoon that we've even done one, a film,
so
an
you
episode.
first have the script. So the first step, you have a script.
It depends. Sometimes we only have a briefing from the client, or even we are right now working on our own IPs, on a couple of own IPs that we write the script. But it depends. Sometimes you have the script. Sometimes you have only a briefing. We want something. We want a story of two superheroes in love, okay? And you have to create. So every project has its own specific workflow, and also it's really important to be on the same page than the client, if you have a client, or do whatever you want if you have enough money to pay it, okay? But the reference with if you are working with a partner, that it's the common process. The basis part is having reference in common. Okay, if you have a script or you have to do it, it's important to know if your partner or their production company wants a Gorillaz music video, or want to do Toy Story, or want to do any other kind of animation. We've worked in several years on this and have a skilled team able to adapt to most references, but it's really important to have in mind the reference to prepare the workflow, okay? Because it's completely different. We are working, for instance, in the new Giant Silent Bob game that it's a beaten up, a 2D animated beaten up, and the process of working on that is completely different to, for instance, the GUNSHIP music video. But right now, I guess that the most interesting way, the most interesting thing for people who can hear us, it's how to do an episode of a series, for instance, or a movie, a short film. So if you like, I'm going to explain more or less how we split the task and organize the workflow for a music video or a short film, a feature film, or whatever. Firstly, Luis and I think on the story or the best narrative way to explain that story. Okay, sometimes we have a script to work with, other times we need to work on it too. Luis and I have a career on the more creative part of the filmmaking. Okay, as Luis said before, maybe we are not the best on the anatomy of the characters. We have people who are the best on that, but we are most focused on the creative part. And at this first step, we argue about how to write the script, or how to make work the script that we already had. For instance, we had a great time writing the end of Pokemon. We have full freedom with that project, and finally feel really proud of it. But because as we've been working on animation several years, we more or less know what works better. We more or less know what could feel. For instance, if we receive a script with a lot of dialogues, we notice that it's not going to be funny to watch on animation, and we try to make that dialogues action.
Well,
But
sorry, let me interrupt
Yep.
you. Well, first, thank you, Zil, and hi to you. Thanks for joining our podcast. Well, uh, you just mentioned the script. You didn't mention the storyboard part. Is the storyboard something you would like to do to make your job easier? And what the softwares do you use for storyboard? And do you have a specific artist for only making storyboards, or does this artist join you or making other jobs like coloring or video editing, or do you
Yep.
how do you work? This is a process I meant, that the script, the storyboard, the motion, the video editing, those are the part. So after the script, what's your next move?
Okay. I was going to arrive to that part. Sorry.
Okay, you're fine.
Well, when we have defined the narrative and the script, this is applied to our storyboard that it's extremely rough. Okay, it's the faster drawings that you can do. You don't have to waste time on this. You don't have to adapt to any character. You only need to make things to your team, to your in-home team. Okay, and at this point, we work with the storyboard, and Luis is really fast with it. We usually do it with our Storyboard Pro or
Storyboard
Harmony,
Toon
or
Boom,
even
right?
yeah, or even on your, or even, and this is very this happens a lot, that finally is done on paper and taking pictures with the smartphone. Okay, this is the rough and ugly part of the work. These parts are never shared on Instagram or whatever. This is only for us. Okay, this is only because you have to explain it to the animators. Once we have this storyboard, it's when the team starts working on it, because until now it's only Luis and I discussing what's going to be shown, the narrative elements that we're going to use. But at this point, there are like 3 parallel works that are concept art, character designs, and improved version of the storyboard in time, in video, and maybe and making it as even going far forward with it, in order to create the animatic. The animatic is like the storyboard, but with the rough animations on it. In this case, we are following an anime workflow, that it's that the animatic should be pretty finished in order to make the production faster. Maybe in big companies like Disney, it have the animatic more rough. We like to have our best animators on that part, on the animatic step, because with having the main muscle working on the animatic, making on an advanced version of the storyboard, finally we only need, once we start the production, we only need to split that animatic on shots, and it's kind of, we can higher, we can put some more. I don't know what's the word to say it, but some more novel animators working on them. They have a guideline pretty defined, and they only need to adapt this animatic to the character designs.
Between animators and in between key animation.
Yeah,
key
but
animators.
that's what I mean. That we usually avoid that separation. We usually avoid that definition of in between animator and main animator, and because the animatic has pretty defined the what's going to be the in between without losing time, and that allows us to just split the shots between the different animators, and they go all with them. Okay, you are, if you were an animator working with us, you will have your 20 shots to be animated, and they are really prepared to take advantage of your skills. Okay, if you are better with female characters, if you are better with dialogues, if you are better with action, we try to have the animatic really prepared for you to have all these animations, and it's faster for you to do the cleanup of the same shot that you are animating. That allows that it may sound crazy for other studios, but for us, it's like it speeds up the process a lot.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't know
after this, you move to video editing, or
yeah. Once we have the animators working on it and the artist working on the backgrounds, at the same time they are finishing the shots with I don't know what's the word to say. Dynamically, we are introducing it into our After Effects project. We work with After Effects, and we are constantly updating it until one scene has all the shots animated and all the backgrounds done. And at that part, we have all the materials in a project, and it's just getting with that, continuing with that project with a post-production. But I think it's kind of we work on parallel those steps. Shall I show you? Can I show you my screen? Shall I show you some material that I'd like to?
Yeah, please share your screen with us.
Okay, let me find where. Play local
you
video?
can find
no?
Sharing screen down there. There's a screen with an arrow.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna share my full screen. Okay, this is, for instance, we did the Iron Face trailer. It's a project. It's a transmedia project. Its release is in YouTube. If anybody wants to watch it, I'm gonna show it before the result. Okay, and then I'm gonna explain the steps one by one.
Okay.
I think it's more clear if we all see what.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What I'm talking about.
People would love this.
Okay, this is the final result, and I want you to understand how we came to this. This is the raft, the first version, the part in which Luis and I should agree that this is exactly the shots that we want.
Is this a storyboard or
this is a storyboard? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bit advanced storyboard, okay, but yeah, if you notice, it's pretty rough. In fact, there are animations that were improved after it, but I think it keeps clear that the way this allows us to explain to our team what the project is, and this is the way that if you have this and everybody in your team, even if now it's hard to see it, if you take a conversation with them and go frame by frame and say, this is a hand, this is a school, this is a whatever, get everybody on the same page, and right now they know what need to do. For instance, there's a shot here that it's when this guy dies that it's quite confusing. So you may take time with the animator to explain to it. And from this part, this was a really brief work, so we didn't do a lot of concept art. But the next step would be to take like the general thoughts and make a concept art that allows people to know what time at the hour it is, what's the architecture that you are seeing, where these people are. Okay, it's like taking the main frames and doing it fine. Okay, doing it with an artistic direction. That we do that on Photoshop. That we have right now we are working with a art director that uses also the SketchUp to work on the concept art.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, once we have it, okay, in this case, we had done some backgrounds already, but this is the animatic that this is made by the best animators, because the best animators are the ones that know how to keep the anatomy of the characters, the volumes, the timing, everything correct in order to avoid people to get mistakes later. And in this case, we can split this to other animators, less experienced or more specialized in VFX or whatever. This is the animatic, okay? Oops, sorry. This is quite finished. This is helpful to, once we have this, we just split this video with After Effects or the software that you were using into different videos, shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4, and then split the task to the different animators that we have. And in this case, there's an example. I don't have the picture here, but if you've watched SpongeBob or anytime, there's a trick that they use a lot when, for instance, if a SpongeBob makes a burger and that burger looks horrible and you don't want to eat it and has an eye or a worm or whatever, they had a first shot, a short shot of that burger that it's like pretty detailed with a worm with
digital painted photo.
Yeah, it's not animated, but it's kind of detailed. We do that a lot. In this case, for instance, this is this has a lot of animation. This one's too. But once the character comes here with the school, this guy here is static. Okay, he's not animated, and he would look cool if we had a detailed layout of it instead of making an animator working on it. And in these cases, and we did it also in the Pokemon one on the we put for this one our character design artist, who is a great illustrator, but he's not an animator. Okay, he doesn't control the timing of these kind of shots, but as an illustrator, he's one of the best. We say, okay, this is static. This would be on screen a lot of time, so we want this we want this picture to be able. We want to print this picture and put it on the wall. Okay, so and that's what we do with this kind of thing, and I think it helps to make people more spectacular. And I guess that for everyone who has watched the end of Pokemon. We did it, for instance, for the Gyarados part. This guy is not animated. This just only have tricks on After Effects to feel that he's animated, but he's just an illustration, okay? And because this is impossible to animate all these details. But if we make him simple, he would look kind of he would lose spectacularity. You
It
know?
wouldn't look so scary or so powerful as you just saw them in this image. So you did a great job making him an After Effect and animating it through After Effect. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. And I think that's the main process that we follow. If you have any doubt, let us know. But that's what I wanted to explain.
Actually, you broke this question. You answered every little part of these questions. Our audience will be so happy with this so detailed answer. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome.
So you just mentioned a couple of sorry. How can you be a pro animation, a professional animator? There is many out there that are animators already, but how can you be a professional animator?
Okay.
It's a hard question.
Yeah.
You
Well,
ask-
I had one thing that I wanted to say something on the first question that I think answers this one. And I think that the only way to become a 2D animator is animating. Okay. But also, what? Okay. And this may feel like a lazy answer, but what I mean here is that there are several courses in YouTube and Udemy or whatever to learn to animate. Okay, but the only real way to polish your skills, as long as you need to know character anatomy, you know, to design. You need to design, to make expressive drawings. Okay, but the only way to polish your style and to make yourself a professional animator is animating a lot. And the only way to get that is making your first steps on animation by your own. And I mean, or at least I'm talking from our experience, do something, do a short film that you believe in, do a story that you want to tell, and that would be a source of energy for you that will force you to work several hours to polish your skills,
Yeah.
because there's no any trick, there's no any theory that you must learn by heart. You know, it's just investing hours of your time, and the only way to do that is with a personal project that really makes you happy.
Work on
Or
something you love.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And once you finish that, you will know what you are good at, and you will know what's your specialization, because you will need to be specialized on something, and then you'll be a professional, you know.
Mhm.
Once you know what's your main skill.
Mhm.
I don't know if I've answered.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's so good actually. Well, we got Daniel here saying "Hola buena tarde." I don't know Spanish,
he's
but
he's he say hello.
okay.
Hola, Dani.
Well, so you just mentioned the Toon Boom storyboard. You told us about the Photoshop, the video editing stuff you do. So, what are the softwares you do? I didn't ask this. So, you and you are a 2D animator, and Luis is a storyboard artist, or what?
we are all.
We are directors only, and I think Luis is more on the 2D area, and we've already opened a department only for 3D animation that we're going to release something soon, and I'm more on that area right now. But both of us are more directors than. In fact, we don't have time to animate.
Mhm.
we are we are the full time answering questions from the team or answering emails.
Oh.
So, and when you have to answer a question drawing, you do. But we are if, even if we started being more focused on 2D and 3D post-production. Anyone has their greatest skills. Finally, we are now in that areas. We are more generalist and we are more focused on directing. But yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question. It's quite complex when you have a studio.
Yeah, actually. So, what are the software you use? You just named a couple of softwares. What are the softwares you use at your studio to make animation, storyboard, video editing, stuff like this?
We started with Tumbum Harmony because I thought it was probably the most professional software, but in the years I have all the freelance animators that I have met and usually work with Flash or Animate. The most experienced animators here, almost here in Europe or in Spain, because most of them started working in 2000, and then it was the most popular software. So they have been working for the last 20 years in Animate, and they are not changing the rules. They work very fast with Animate or Flash. It is the same software. So our company that started working with Tumbum Harmony has to make the transition to Flash Animate because of the people that we were hiring were people who have been working with Animate for the last years.
Yeah.
I think that Animate is probably faster than Tumbum Harmony, faster program.
Lighter too? Is it lighter? Is it a light software than Harmony?
Yeah, it has less tools. It is less complex. But also, sorry, Luis, interrupt me if you want. Luis and I use Harmony, okay, because it seems more for this decade, okay, while Flash it's more old style animation from 20 years ago. But as Luis said before, we are not the best animators of our company. So we need to adapt to what the old school animators are keen on. So if we hire a great animator, that we have some of them, we have to adapt to their needs. But when they are not seen as, we are using Harmony. Okay.
For a big company, Harmony is the best way. I think Harmony is the best way to do. But we are now in Flash. But the software at the end is the least important thing, I think.
So at the Pokemon video short movie, do you use Harmony or Animate?
We use both. We use both. It depends of the shot. Yeah, it depends of the animator. We used one or another. For the GUNSHIP, I think we only used Harmony and Photoshop because one of our artists. This is a really eclectic company. Of our main illustrator is only likes Photoshop, so we let him use only Photoshop. Okay. And at the end, the people in the post production is the only one who hate the previous disorder, but they need to adapt. Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
For the animation, Photoshop, Harmony, and Flash. And just to recommend people, if you start animating now, I recommend Harmony. It's more more updated. But if you've been your whole life using Flash and you only know Flash, you can use it because at the end, your work is more important than the software that you use.
That's so cool. That's so important and so good advice. Well, actually, we have a question. How
Yeah.
much should a 2D animator charge? Well, I would like Luis to answer this first.
Okay, I have. Okay, I will say something, but please don't believe me. I have to say that, for example, I will say the most, but I think the people who charge most in our company, uh, it is around about the animators. It is around 200 or 250 per day. Okay, but you have to know that uh, you have to know what your company mates are charging. You have to know if you can do what they are doing, and if you cannot charge as much as them. So
Mhm.
it is. I'm talking about people who has been working in animation for the last 20 or 50 years. So it is people who are very, very, I don't know how to say, um, experimented.
Experience
So,
it.
yes.
Experience it.
For example, someone who comes, who arrives new and has not so much experience and is not able to make as the work as faster or as good as this one, they are not going to charge so much.
Mhm.
And these people who are charging maybe 250 in other companies for a 1 month project, if they arrive to us for a very long project, a 1 year or indefinite project, they usually charge a little less because
Mhm.
of they want to they prefer stability than charge too much. Okay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and and I suppose there are people charging more than this, but this is the max that we have met. Okay, in the team that we have been working on this, and many
Mhm.
of them, the less I think they should charge is around. I'm talking about someone that is a professional. It is around 120, 150. I think it is the less than a professional should charge for a
But
day of animation.
Mhm.
But many of them want to prefer to charge it by project or by, and there are many ways to charge
Mhm.
or to do your
Mhm.
budget. This is just the style we are the el arco que estamos manejando
the range that we are using.
the range we
Mhm.
are using. Mm. Many
Mhm.
of them, the people who are hired in our company, many of them are work for a salary and they around 1,200 per month. People who are starting with us, who has been working since the company has started, not people who has been working for the last 20 years. People related,
Mhm. Mhm.
people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
think church
do you have something to add to this, Enol?
church as much as you can, but being
Well,
but being
I hope your workers doesn't see this video because they're
no
going to
no
argue with you tomorrow.
please censor censor this for the arrow angry metal people. Okay. uh, church as much as you can, but be honest of the amount of work that you have done, because if you charge too much and you don't get the expectations that you promise, you are not going to work again with those people,
Mhm.
you know. So yeah, there are very different peoples here. There are very different profiles here. Sorry, my cat is here.
Well, thanks for the so truthful answer you just mentioned here. So, what are skills are required to become a 2D animator?
Okay.
Questions?
Luis, do you want to answer?
I would say patience. Obviously, you have to be very patient and know how to observe the world. For example, I think that for Cinderella, the animator who made the godmothers, the fairy tale, yes. He was in a he started working on them in a laundry, seeing how the woman was cleaning the 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 clothes.
Their clothes,
So
yeah.
he was watching that woman, and he says, "Okay, I have the fairy tales. I know how to do that, or the godmothers. Okay, he say, okay, I know how they are going to move their bodies. So I think that to be someone who can see the world is something very important for an animator to be. Miyazaki says, don't watch so many cartoons and go to the real life. So that's something that many people who want to make animations
Animation.
sometimes miss, I think.
You mean go observing the life around you?
Yes, okay, of course. What you say, okay. Observe the world around you.
Okay. So, would you like to add something to this?
No, I'm fine.
So, passion and observation.
Yeah. I think so. And go to the gym, because if you if you are always drawing, you will have problems of health. So a sport routine is good for an animator.
I support this idea for so people should play sports. Play sports. Don't spend the whole day sitting on your chairs, working on projects, drawing for more than 12 hours or 16 hours. Go to the gym. As Luis, Enol, and me, I'm telling you the same advice too.
Okay.
Is creativity important to a 2D animator?
I think that depends on the kind of animator that you want to be. However, I think that's just a philosophy of life. If the animation, is your passion, or it's just a work that you don't disagree. In the second case, if that's just a work that you don't disagree, you don't need a lot of creativity. You can work as a cleanup artist or as an in-between animator on big projects. There's always the need of people doing what other people told them. However, if animation is your passion, you need creativity. It's not that the matter is that you don't need it, is that it will be your source of work. The source of your work will be the creativity, and you cannot avoid that. Anytime that Luis and I receive a script, even if we love it, we always look for the way to modify it, okay? To make it more personal, to improve or police any detail that we notice can be fixed. It's not something that we can control. We cannot fit to all the scripts. We cannot delete our creativity. We need to use it, okay? We need to apply it and we don't find any excitement on a work and this is not only applied to animation. I cannot feel any excitement to any work that doesn't need creativity. But above all, in animation, I think if it's your passion, is something you need to. However, as I said before, if you only want to do the cleanup and you only need to have that work and you don't disagree it, I think on bigger projects you have a space for you. But I think it's not interesting work with that point of view, but it's completely respectful, I guess.
Well, so we had the support when someone does. Did your studio go to any Comic Con before, or con exhibition for animators or for animation studios?
And we went to the 3D Wire a couple years ago. That it's a market here in Spain, quite popular in I
Well,
think in Europe levels.
Let's say
Yeah.
someone at this con or this exhibition did want to show you his portfolio or her portfolio, so he or she can be an animator at your studio. So what is how can you build an animation portfolio that you can present to any animation studio? What should you include in this portfolio?
That
If you
depends.
want to start, yeah.
But okay, I say something. That depends of the studio you want to work with. Obviously, if you want to work in Disney, you will have to see their films and say, okay, this is what they are looking for. If you want to work with Cartoon Saloon, if you want to go to Japan and make anime, you will have to. There are different needs for any different studios. So I think that you will have to have very clear what you want to do, where you want to work, in order to make your reel based on the necessities of that place. And supposing that you want to go to Disney, the highest level or the place where more things they will need, you will probably have to make a lip sync or something, levantamiento de peso, ¿no?
Weightlifting.
Weightlifting or walk cycling, and acting, someone crying, someone screaming. Probably you will need, that's the needs that they will ask.
Changing the cameras too.
Sorry?
Changing the cameras with this shorts, with these animations you just mentioned.
Yes, I think so. But if you want to work in Japan, maybe you are not going to need the same thing, because, for example, in Japan they are not doing anticipations, okay, or the style of animation is different. So you have to have very clear where are you going to go. For example, we are working with Juan Malaguna, who has worked in Japan for many years, and he don't usually do the anticipations that that Disney characters will need. Okay, so if you want to make a work with Donald Duck or the Mickey Mouse short films, you will need different skills. So what I recommend is to be clear where is your goal, what's your goal, and make
adapt your art style to that country or that studio. But you have to make scenes like swimming or falling or crying, just like you say.
Yeah.
I think so. About how many scenes should someone include in his portfolio?
Only the best. If you are not agree with any, but I think 8 is enough to know what you can do. Okay, but if you have 6 very good and 2 very bad, don't include the last one. Okay, 6 will be enough. Yeah, just
show your best. Show your best.
Only your best. Yes, because the people who are watching your reel has no time, because they are watching a lot of and try to make something unique. Okay, because even if with the mayors, they want to get animators with a lot of personality. Okay, so please try to say what can I do for this company, why they are going to hire why they are going to hire me before someone else. Okay, because I can say, because I'm a guy from Mexico, and I can make something very Mexican, and maybe this next say, okay, we are making Coco, and you are for the best people for us, for example. Okay.
Oh, thanks. Many thanks, Spencer.
Can I add a few tips that I want? If you don't mind, I would add something. Luis has said it clear. About the amount of scenes to include, I would also recommend, if you are creating, if you're focused only on doing your portfolio, I think it's kind of important that it includes enough scenes to be sure that you are able to adapt to different kind of characters. Okay, you try to add something like underground, like Ren and Stimpy. Try to add a Mickey Mouse. Try to add a Full Metal Alchemist. You know, there are different targets, different anatomies, different kind of characters that if we're gonna hire someone, it would make us sure that you can adapt to the different projects that we have, because
adapt to different art styles.
yeah, and well, what we check is perspective, anatomy, timing, narrative skills, good taste on the science, but also that's technical, that's pretty fine. This is a tip, I think, for everything in life. Try to be nice to people who knows you, because they would recommend you, and that's pretty important, because we receive like 10 portfolios per week, and we have a lot of work also. So maybe you watch them, maybe you can, or maybe you put on one part of the screen while you're writing an email on the other. And so it's kind of important that people know you as a working, but also as a trustful people. That in that way, if people trust on you, they will recommend you. And I think that's pretty important for studios to watch your portfolio and to have you as an opportunity to say, oh, this guy. Juanma told us that this guy is pretty good at animating. I'm gonna see his portfolio. It's not the same that, hello, I'm Miguel and this is my portfolio. Thank you. Yeah, you know, okay, you may be the best people in the world, but I don't know you. Sorry, and I may not have time to look at all your material. That's my suggestions here. The karma is important here.
Yeah. Well, many thanks for this too. Well, we got a question about the market actually. So, animation at art schools or fine arts is so different than what we see at the market. So, why is that, and how can we keep track with what's going at the market and what the market does need?
The market is changing a lot in the last 5 years, and it's going to be changing for many years. It's the most difficult question here. You of course you have to be watching Netflix and watching and say and knowing what it's been producing, but I don't know. Enol, do you know how to answer this?
About the market, well,
About the difference between the market.
Yeah,
And
I think, well, but I think that's the same problem in all the industry. What you I
For
don't know how
example,
to.
here in Gobelins in Paris, the animator here in Europe, in Paris, there is a school called Gobelins that is the most the most famous.
Yeah.
And they make sometimes I said, okay, these guys from Goblins are making a kind of animation that is not in the real world. That I thought that were 10 years ago, for example. They are making some animations that are awesome, but there are not companies producing that style of animation. I thought that 10 years ago, and nowadays there are shows doing in the same style as the goblins were doing 10 years ago. So there is a constant feedback. I think that you probably have to know that the people that your boss is not the guy who is hiring you. Your boss is the audience, and the audience are going to want the most probably if the Goblins short films has so many views when YouTube arrive and they started uploading. Many people from companies says, okay, people are want to watch something like this, and in the time, years and years, suddenly some shows were in the same style of last short films of Goblins. So, so
Yeah. You create the market.
yes, people are creating the market every day in the schools, in choosing what you want to watch in Netflix. For example, yesterday I watched Midnight Gospel, and I said this is impossible to produce something like this. 10 years ago, you won't believe that the guy who made Adventure Time were doing a show talking about drugs and in a science fiction way in Netflix, and suddenly it appears, and it doesn't exist, and people doesn't, and people probably will watch it 10 years ago, but the guys from the companies didn't know that people were willing to watch it. So in the schools, it's the best way to create something that the market will appear in the future, probably. But I say in the schools, but everyone is a school in their home. So if you are making your own short film or something, maybe it's something that the market will keep from them. Yes, okay. I don't know if I have answered the question.
Well, it's fine actually. It's so cool. Well, this was our last question. So many thanks for you, and all many thanks for you, Luis. We enjoyed this. Actually, you just answered too many questions about animation and how to make animations, how to be an animator. We were waiting for these questions to be answered. Me and other animators, other artists out there in the country, other artists around the world. So many thanks again. Many thanks to you, our audience, for watching us and viewing this episode. So feel free to stay tuned for our next week interview. Many thanks again, guys, and goodbye.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Very much.